Hey guys, Sirius Ken here, and we're going to look at some defoliation with our plants in our gardens. Alright, so I got a nice young plant here that we started from seed. This is what we call a three-headed dog. Alright, so it's a platinum cookies crossed to Kim dog. So that's what we're working with. She's got a lot of nice branching going on, and what we want to do from a defoliation standpoint is encourage more branching, and we want to increase airflow, especially down low on the plant. And we'll talk a little bit as to why that's important to us. All right. So first and foremost, defoliation is a technique for an indoor garden that is critical. Right now, there's some people who will debate whether defoliation is good for your plant or not, and I'll just tell you, in an indoor garden, it is good for your plant. You need it. You need it for canopy management and light management, and you need it for pest management and for powdery mildew and humidity control, right? So what we're going to do with defoliation is we're going to spend a lot of time defoliating and removing stuff, especially from the lower part of the plant. And the reason we're going to do that is, if you look into it a little bit, you'll soon discover, if you have a little bit of experience in growing, you'll discover right away that powdery mildew almost always starts on these lower branches down here, right? So your powdery mildew doesn't typically start up here. It typically starts down here low by the soil. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about how we defoliate, right? So I use a couple of different things when I defoliate. I like to use just a straight knife, razor knife, simple. I like to wear the gloves, okay? Just for medical reasons, right? We're dealing with a medical plant, especially if we're talking about a commercial grow. Okay, but I got my gloves. I got the tool that I'm going to use. It's clean and it's ready to go. Other than that, I'm not a real big fan of scissors, but to each their own on how they do things. And we'll talk about what I'm going to do first. Is I'm going to clean out a lot of this bottom. So when I clean out a lot of this bottom area, I'm not so much defoliating as I'm going to be removing growth that doesn't have much of a chance of making it to the canopy. Right, so we're going to clean that out, and I'm going to do mostly that with the razor knife. Okay, and then after we get that done, then we'll look at plucking unnecessary fan leaves from the top. Right, so here we go. All right, so this is it's really no way to do this other than just to do it. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to take my knife, and I'm going to basically remove anything. Let me try to turn this in such a way as you can hopefully see what I got going on. But like this branch, right, this little tiny branch down here, it's not going anywhere. I'm going to immediately throw this into a trash bucket, guys. Right, so you can see that. We don't want to take what we've removed and what we've defoliated and just throw it haphazardly around our garden. Alright, we want to get it out of here. We want to have it collected. We want to have it nice. And at the end of our cleaning session here, in our defoliating session, we want to make sure that we get that bucket or that container or whatever you're using to collect out. Alright, so starting off just by cleaning out some of this lower growth that's never really going to have much of a chance of reaching canopy. Okay. And one of the things I like about this little razor knife is it doesn't take a lot of effort. I can simply just kind of slide it down a branch. Alright, for me that works better than scissors. Okay. And I'm just methodically going through and cleaning out this stuff towards the center of this stalk. It's just creating a lot of congestion, and that congestion traps moisture and humidity. It's kind of like an Amazon jungle effect, right? So we want to open up the center of the plant a lot, right? Because your issues usually start down low and in the center. Okay. Alright, so that's the lower part of the plant. Hurry up a couple more spots here real quick. Okay, so if you can see the lower part, this stalk now is clean. Doesn't have a lot of vegetation going in right there. I'm even going to pull off a couple of these right here that, for me personally, just aren't ever really going to do anything to cause me problems. All right. Okay, so cleaned out kind of the bottom. Now what we're going to start doing is we're going to start getting rid of fan leaves that are unnecessary. And when I say unnecessary, it's not that they're, you can leave them, but what will happen is this will become so full of vegetation that whatever your light is from above, it won't be able to penetrate. So if you're in your garden and you stick your hand in your plant like this and it's in a shadow, right, those branches down there aren't getting sufficient light. So if you're in flower and you've got branches down here trying to flower and they're not hitting the light canopy, you're not going to get a quality product there. You're going to get popcorn, larvae, undesirable, what we would call seconds in the industry, right? And it's hard to trim, it's hard to collect, doesn't have much weight to it. It's kind of a problem for you, right? So you want to make sure whatever tips you are sending to flower are getting light canopy. So how we're going to do that is we're going to take a lot of these larger fan leaves, all right, and we're going to remove a few of them in order to open up the top of this, right? So I just kind of come down. I do most of my work down this center stalk. So this one's already had some defoliating done to it. It used to have fan leaves coming off of this center stalk. As you can see, those have already been removed. And then as these branches come out, I'm going to systematically move them, remove some of them. And I like to start from the inside out because, again, the inside of that plant really gets congested. Now, for removing fan leaves, you can use scissors, you can use a knife, right? Personally, a lot of times I just use my fingers and pinch it off, okay? But if you're removing this fan leaf, what I like to do is I like to remove the fan leaf here. No matter if you're using a knife, scissors, or what have you, is actually cut that stem of the fan leaf as opposed to trying to get in here and cut really close to this little node. All right, now I just did that, but you'll find a lot of times you're going to slip or you're going to have a little mishap and you'll end up removing that node, which you're not really trying to do. The other thing that's good about taking the fan leaf that you're going to remove and cutting this part of this fan leaf stem, I forget what the technical name for it is, but one, it's easy to reach, it's easy to get to, but two, it's better for the plant health. A lot of times, especially people who are doing it by hands, and I'm guilty of this, is I like to come through and just pull my fan leaves off. And in the past, and if you've grown for a while, you've probably done this. If I didn't want this fan leaf, I would just take this fan leaf and pull it down. Okay? And most of the time, that'll work. I can take that and I can just pull that down and that'll work. But a lot of times, that'll strip a thread down, and that thread will go down and rip nodes off. But more than anything, by doing that, I leave this main stem open for infection. Okay? So one of the advantages of cutting this fan leaf off at this fan leaf stem is that it's less prone for the plant to get an infection, and it's probably not a huge concern for a lot of people, but me personally, that's how I do it. Now, it may not be as attractive, but you can see how quickly I can come through here, and with just a real simple razor knife, I can defoliate this plant in a couple of seconds, collecting in one hand and simply chopping away with the knife. I can turn and I can come through and I can clean this thing up in really just a couple of minutes if I'm not yapping and talking. Alright, now if you're new to this may seem a little scary to you. You may say, Ken, man, that plant really looked beautiful and then you just hacked it all up. Yeah, we did. And for about 3 days, she's going to look like she was hacked up. But about that third or fourth day, she is going to blow up and she's going to put all of her energy into these new growths. So although it may not be overly pretty right at this exact second, right, what's happening is we are opening up this canopy. We're going to get great airflow. We're not going to have a humidity or PM problem inside of this plant. And although she looks a little rough right now, in 3 days when we come back to look, you will see that she will have plenty of vegetation still with her.